Hey there, this is Anthony Standifer. We are back. This is part of the Awkward and Ambitious series of life for me as we put together today's podcast to bring you more value. And so today's topic is one you want to lean into. If you are a beauty brand founder, one of the big hurdles that we all face in our entrepreneurial journey is when to hire staff and how to hire staff in a way that doesn't cripple and stifle your business. And so today's episode is about understanding what it means to bring on an employee onto your group and the fact that you're not really looking for people, but you're looking for the capabilities to create leverage inside of your business. So come on, lean in, grab your notebook, push the pause, get yourself ready because today's episode of Driving the Business, Beauty Brands and Entrepreneurship with Anthony Standifer is ready to go.
Business. Driving. Driving. Driving the business.
Anthony Standifer here, and you are driving the business. I find founders fall into one of two buckets. They are the superhero that is used to inside of their business doing 80% of the work and doing a really good job of making sure that things get done and accomplished. And man, founders are my heroes in many instances because the idea of launching a business is something that takes your whole physical, mental capabilities and spiritual wherewithal to get off the ground and make it happen. But at a certain point, you've got to know when to loosen the reins and when to bring in support in order to help you grow and scale your business. Because in most instances, we've talked about already that brand founders are usually the main obstacle in preventing growth inside of their business. And so for today's episode, again, we're going to dive into when and how to bring on employees and avoid burnout in the process. Because again, scaling is necessary for every business, but it is hard and it requires a different skill set from you as a founder than doing all the work. Today, we're going to walk you through the 5 roles that are critical in the growth and evolution of your business as a brand founder. So lean in because these capabilities in this outline is something that you can apply today if you're someone who is managing a growing and thriving beauty brand business. Now, if you're in the early phases where you're just getting started and trying to validate that your business is even valid and has traction in the market, then this is something you want to take note of for the immediate future. But if you're somebody that's consistently generating 5 or 6 figures per month of revenue, this episode is for you. All right, so one of the real traps that we fall into as founders, including myself at certain stages of my business, is attempting to hire people because we say, gosh, people will help me to grow this business and to scale this business. And instead, I've learned over time to reframe that and that we are hiring for capabilities. And those capabilities can come in the form of people and or technology. And so a common mistake is like, oh my God, I've got to hire a marketing manager, a brand person to help me grow and scale my business. Ooh, this shipping is getting really cumbersome. And so I got to hire a shipping logistics person. And so it goes on and on and on and on. And so in this episode, let's talk about the 5 key roles that you can lean into as you start to scale your business. And if you're somebody who is doing business now and you're consistently making 5 or 6 figures of revenue per month in terms of brand sales, then this episode is definitely for you. Now, if you're in the earlier phases where you're just getting started and you're trying to build the traction to get there, then take a few notes, but know that this is primarily talking to those folks that are generating enough revenue that they feel like they have some capacity to hire people, but not enough. And so if you're in that awkward space, then this is absolutely for you. And so function 1 is one that's critical in the overall operations of your business, and it's the operations driver. And so this is the person who is helping you to support you with the logistics that happen inside of your company. Who's getting orders? Who's packing and shipping those orders? Who's coordinating with trucks to receive inventory and ship inventory out? All of the logistics that go into fulfilling the demand that comes inside of your business is a specific critical function that has to be staffed and supported. Now, this can come through a mixture of technology, but then invariably, it's also going to involve a person. And so Hiring a full-time employee to manage your operations in the early days of your company is maybe not the most efficient, effective thing. Because let's face it, if you're in the United States or any developing country, people are expensive. And folks want to be paid a fair, livable wage. And in doing so, that has the capabilities of like stifling your business. Because if you don't have enough money to pay people, it is a kiss of death. And I have been in a space and my founders can attest to this, that when you have the responsibility of making payroll for employees, it is an extreme burden that none of us take really, really lightly. And so before we get to that, how about we look at this differently and fulfilling this function differently for this key operations driver? So when we look at this, then there's a couple of things that we can do. And I'm actually looking at my notes to make sure I cover all of the points. There's a couple of things we could do. It's a part-time operator that comes into your business and helps support you. It could be a freelancer, somebody that does this work. There are fractional supply chain managers that do this for a living, meaning that they work for a bunch of different companies and manage these processes and functions for brand founders. Find those type of people that don't require you to hire them full time, but still give you the benefit of fulfilling the function inside of your business. And it is a ultimate time killer for a founder to be pick, packing, and shipping orders on a regular, ongoing basis. Yes, the orders have come in. Yes, they have to be fulfilled quickly, but that doesn't have to be you at a certain point. And once you figure out that this demand is really pretty consistent and that you're getting a decent number of average orders per week or per day, it's a great time to then consider, can I offset some of this work to someone else? And find somebody that's skilled in it, because your cousin who just has free time is probably not the person that can scale with you. And while you're looking to fulfill that function in the right now, you're also anticipating the future growth that comes along inside of that role. And so hire people that are specialists and that know what they're doing inside of their role. And the operations driver is one of the key functions that you can outsource really early on once you have consistent demand that you can forecast. And if you've been in business anywhere from 8 to 12 months, then you've got a trend line that you can basically operate from in determining what the best resource and how much time you're going to need from a resource in order to fulfill the specific functions required to operate your business. The second function that I almost feel forced to talk about, but I'm going to give a caveat with it, is the revenue builder. Who's the person that's going to do sales for you? Now, if you're a direct to consumer business, then the idea of selling directly to consumers is a separate function. But at a certain point, my brand founders always say, well, when should I hire a sales team to go out and start looking for new channels of distribution? Because I want to be in retail or I want to start selling to independent stores. And so I need a professional that can help me with that. And while, yes, it is the right functional thinking, doing that too soon has the potential to carry an extreme burden. And we've talked a lot about this in other content that I put out. The idea that when you go from selling directly to consumer to then selling to formal retail, your gross margins are going to take the ultimate hit. And it is a hit that you have to brace for. And the assumption that I'm going to sell exponentially more because I'm selling at this retail store is a fallacy. And it's something that your business has to grow into. And so, but once you do have the demand that says, great, we're ready to go and we're ready to look at a small number of retail partners, then yes, you should have a person on a team that can actually support that. And there's any number of resources that can do that function. Yes, there are salespeople that you can hire on a part-time basis. There are also what we call retail brokers, people who specialize in introducing and managing accounts. So if you're selling into Walmart or Target or Sephora, there are entire professional groups and agencies that do this kind of work, and they take a lot of the guesswork out of the process for you as a founder, but they operate on commission-based only sales or a mixture of a monthly retainer plus commissions. And so again, the cost in and of itself is not the burden. It is the fact that these people are going to be selling your products at a severe discount that is different than the profit structure you're operating to when you're selling on an e-commerce site directly to consumers. And so before you enter that foray of going out and hiring someone, make sure that you have extreme demand. And I give a benchmark. If you're not making damn near seven figures in sales selling directly to consumers, then it's probably too early for you to start talking about opening up to traditional brick and mortar retail, particularly the big chains. Small stores, independent stores, yes, maybe, if in fact it's something that you can sort of ease your way into. But the moment you start playing with the big guys, the big expectation and the big expenses come along with that. So I'm extremely wary and cautious of advising brands to take that path too early on. But once you do, make sure that you're factoring it in so there's something you're not doing directly, but that there's a hired, capable professional who likely doesn't have to be a full-time employee of yours to go out and do that work. Number three is the marketing engine. And this is one of the critical roles that happens, particularly as we start to look at expanding out. And I find it to be one of the places that my founders stumble the most and struggle the most because, in many instances, they're the people that are doing this work directly in the early days. And so, the marketing engine person or function is someone who's out there doing digital advertising, they're doing influencer partnerships, they're helping to generate the demand that influences sales in a direct to consumer business. It's a critical function. Like as a founder, you may find yourself as both an influencer as well as an operator inside of your business. Well, guess what? If you can peel back the operational portion of that in terms of who's managing the digital advertising, who's coming up with the campaigns, and you can just be the owner and influencer, it frees up a tremendous amount of time. But it's also really tricky to find the people that can do that work effectively. And so in this instance, you may find that it is not to your advantage to hire a full-time person, particularly if you've never directly managed people in this capacity before. I do not recommend that this be one of your first hires. Instead, make it a freelancer. Hire an agency or a micro agency that can do this work for you. Get accustomed to what are the metrics that you need and what are the skills that you need as a brand founder to manage a person or a very, very small team of people to get the results that you're looking for. It is not the people most of the time, it is the management that determines the success of a business. Capabilities are quickly resolved. You either do or you don't know what you're doing in terms of the function of a business. Like if you know the back end of Meta, you know the back end of Meta. Who you're doing that for is almost agnostic. And you can scale based on what budgets are inside of the platforms, whether it be Google, Meta, TikTok, or any of these other platforms. Um, so capabilities is one thing, but it is really being able to set clear expectations that this is the budget, these are the metrics that I'm expecting to hit, this is how you will be evaluated, this is what are the things that are going to scare me in the middle of this process if we're not hitting these very specific benchmarks, and giving people then the latitude to either step up to those expectations or not step up to them and then deal with the repercussions that come as a result of that is your role as a founder. I can't stress enough that coaching is one of my primary roles as a business leader. Like, I do a lot of stuff inside of my business and have done a lot of stuff, but coaching at this scale is something that matters. Managing a seven-figure business, just under 20 employees, 11 years in the game. I am chief coach inside of my business and making sure that my team feels supported to do the work that they need to do, feel that I can clearly communicate what expectations are. And even if I can't draw them a line by line path to how to get there, I can at least give them the major markers and support them in figuring it out for themselves, is my role. And I take it really, really serious. And so in some cases, I can get, somebody who is like a C player to become a B or A minus player, but sometimes I can't. And then recognizing when it's time to cut ties and when it's time to really hunker down and nurture a person and their skill set is something that is one of the most valuable skills to have as an owner. Because I'm a firm believer that 80% done by somebody else is 100% better than me having to do it. And at a certain point, I just don't have the capacity. I cannot get it all done inside of my business. And so the only way for me to get out of that rabbit hole is for me to manage people through it. And so let's look at this marketing function as something that it truly is, a key strategic function and our ability to look for agencies, people, specialists. I cannot emphasize enough that this is a place where you want someone who's not a generalist in marketing, but a specialist. And so they may have one or two really, really specific, unique capabilities. Maybe they're an amazing influencer manager and they have the connections and the resources to coalesce a community of influencers to deliver against a specific objective. That person is likely going to be decidedly different than the person who's managing the back end of your digital platform or the back end of your e-commerce platform. It is not this idea that one person can be an expert in all of those things. And so I take that off the table and I'm really, really diligent about hiring specialists and making sure that I can then engage with them. And in having special skills, you got to pay special skill rates. And if they have a true expertise, then it means, having a budget to compensate for those skills. But it is well worth it when someone can truly deliver and deliver the kind of value that's going to level up your business and level up the sales inside of it. So, my 2 cents as it relates to this ever important role of the marketing engine is why I've spent a little bit more time on this topic than anyone, because it's the one that I truly see founders struggle with the most is how to find the right person. And again, the reframing is what are the functions and how do we then fulfill the functions? And the functions may have to be multiple people. So this fourth role is one that is severely overlooked. I mean, severely overlooked. So like lean in, lean all the way into this moment. And this is the person and the function that manages your finances and the financial outlook and projections of your company. In the early days, we are hustle, hustle, get it done, make it happen by any means necessary. And even my smart founders are then thinking about gross margin and the things that come along with that because we harp on it enough that it's definitely one of the key signals. But outside of that, having someone that is astute and skilled at managing finances and the future and current projections of a business is a critical function. And you do not need to hire a seven-figure CFO to manage your brand that's making $100,000 a year. You just don't. And there are people and specialists that have this skill set. But in doing so, you want to be able to screen for someone who understands not just the basic bookkeeping and accounting of your business. Yes, those are things that you should absolutely have in order. Side note again, make sure you are setting up to pay your taxes because the one person that will not be deceived or fooled is going to be Uncle Sam in the United States of America. And so you being prepared as a business owner to file your taxes on a regular basis, I cannot tell you how important it is because that's some shit that comes back to haunt you if you don't put yourself in a good space. So make sure you're setting up to pay your taxes. Aside from that, back on track here. So having someone that it can do the bookkeeping, can do the monthly accounting inside of your business is critical as a business owner and as somebody who's managing a growing beauty brand. But outside of that, it is also then the gymnastics that comes along with other key functions, like finding a financial person or persons that can help you to manage inventory. And how are you going to pay for inventory as you grow and scale? Is that a function of a line of credit from a bank? Is it inventory financing? Is it a factoring company? If these terms are unfamiliar to you, it's okay. But these are all things that you're going to need to know in the growth and scale of your business is that there's not a huge chunk of money that some equity investor is going to provide to you in the business where you're never going to need additional capital. And so plan for it in the beginning and find a resource that can help you do that. So one of my great questions that I always ask if people are interviewing financial people to help assist their business and to determine if they're a bookkeeper or a true CFO strategic advisor for them is to ask them about their experience in managing consumer good companies. Like who else have they done work for? And they should be able to give you a list. Even if it's not beauty brands, they should be able to tell you, I manage this company who does t-shirts, who sells candles, who sells whatever it is, and not service-based businesses because those are different. But in terms of people that have to buy and carry inventory in advance of selling orders is a very necessary skill set. And having the resources and the acumen from a financial perspective to say that, yes, I've helped and supported these founders in these specific areas is a great function to have on your team. And is someone who is looking not just at today, but can also see towards the future and what you can be doing to prepare for that future now. It is so much better to get yourself in position to ask for money when you don't need it than to be chasing after money when you need it, because nothing ever goes on schedule the way that you want. People don't give quick yeses. They give these delayed nos or meandering maybes, and it will cripple your business when you are under the gun and trying to fulfill demand that is sitting at your doorstep. And so your financial partner in this instance is fulfilling a critical function, and you should have someone that is skilled at that work. And so look for CFOs, fractional CFOs. It's an entire industry of people that do that, whether they're individual contractors or small agencies. Like, there's a plethora of those, and just make sure that they have the functional experience of how are they helping support businesses with inventory, other key milestones that are needed to bring inventory inside of businesses, and can not just see where you are today, but can support you towards a vision of what you see in the future. So the financial portion and that function, super, super critical. And don't overlook it, because it is the thing. As you grow and scale, you're going to need it. And we see it today in social media, but I'm done on my soapbox. Let's move on to the other topics. Now, the next and final function here is something that is critical, and it's one of the areas where I do see people that can help with this in really specific ways. And this is the founder multiplier. The founder multiplier. It is the person who, in some cases, gets mislabeled. Oftentimes, they're called an assistant. And I like to think of it as that, yes, they're either an executive assistant or project manager. And this is the person that can help you directly as a founder manage the infrastructure inside of your business, can help you manage vendor relationships and the partnerships that are happening inside of your business. As a founder, we get buried in the weeds, and a strong multiplier or an executive assistant slash project manager is game changing. Lean in. It is game changing to have someone that is supporting your business with that really specific skill set. You are not looking for a generalist. You are looking for someone who this is their ministry and this is the work that they do. I add in the caveat of project manager because it's someone who understands the idea of moving lots of pieces and parts and coordinating that in conjunction with you as the founder. One of the greatest hires I did a couple of years ago was coming out of my own way and thinking that I needed to have a full-time person that like sat in my office, 5 days a week with me to manage my schedule and to do the things that were needed for me inside of my business. Uh-uh. I hired a virtual assistant, and hiring a skilled virtual assistant has freed up so much of my time that at this point I don't do the obvious things. Like, I don't manage most of my emails. My assistant does that. I don't do any of my scheduling. My assistant does that. Travel, I don't do that anymore. All of those things have been freed up. But more than that, it is also having a person that can then follow up with me on the tasks that are happening in the middle of specific projects. So, hey, Anthony, did you follow up with John about that partnership email that came in 4 days ago? Oh, crap, I didn't. Hey, Anthony, did you ever get to schedule that meeting and read that document that was sent to you from your insurance company to complete that audit and to make sure that you're in compliance with this? Sure. Okay, great. No, I didn't. Hey, Anthony, did you schedule the time to go talk with your business partner and the key employee on your team who needs to be put on a performance review improvement plan? Ooh, okay, great. And so these are the things that are, again, a really great executive assistant slash project manager can free up your time and help you to unlock the potential of getting you out of the weeds. And the more you are out of the weeds, the more you are able to fly in the sky, as I call it, and really focus on the areas that you can offer strategic value inside of your business. It's a little cumbersome in the early days, like literally relinquishing control over to another person to manage the details of your life. And when I think about assistants, like my executive assistant doesn't just manage my professional life, he manages my personal life as well. And because they blend together in so many specific ways, um, that it is like game changing, defining. And I think I've used that term several times, but it is a defining skill set. And it's the one place where I say it's a great place to start with a full-time resource or a part-time resource where you have the majority of their time. And if ever I was going to prioritize bringing someone onto my team, I would start with that lowest hanging fruit, because me getting 10 to 20 hours of my time back per week then frees me up to then go and generate more revenue. And the cost for that person is generally less than some of the other specialists that we've talked about inside of this episode. So give it a thought, give it a consideration, but the multiplier, man, is a real thing. And so, in summary, like, how do you access these resources? Yes, you do have the ability to hire a full time person. I'd shy away from it. I'd shy away from hiring friends and family, particularly as you're starting to scale. In the early days when you're getting off the ground, it may be necessary to bring in the cousin, the sister, the brother, the whomever, to help support that business. But as you start to scale, it is much more beneficial for you to have specialists inside of your business than generalists, because those specialists will help you to go faster with a more narrow scope of work, but bringing incremental value to you. Agencies are people that are going to be able to help you to get out there and access a small team of people. There's tons of like 2, 3, 5 person agencies that are doing incredible work. You can also look at fractional people, meaning that these are people who have a very niche specialty. Again, the supply chain operations or operations person, the financial person. Like, there's tons of fractional folks out there that are doing incredible work and can do it within budgets that don't cripple or stifle you. And then you may find strategic partnerships. I've heard of folks who have found ways to share resources. Um, so two small businesses are like, hey, we have the same functional need. We both have relatively modest budgets. And so, but together, if we could find one resource to support our business, we might have then the ability to get the kind of support that we need. Absolutely. And this is why networking is so important, and making sure that we're, networking with people and in community with people that are at similar levels, so that we can then collaborate in ways like this, where we're truly combining our resources to have a bigger impact overall. Get creative, but don't feel like you've got to then go out and hire 7 people that are all making 6 figures worth of salary, and then have the ability to crush your business because you can't afford to support a portion of those people on an ongoing basis. The roles are out there, but you, being the business owner and the strategic thinker that you are, and fulfilling your responsibility as the guide and the navigator inside of your business, these are the types of problems that you should be leaning into, and strategies that I really want to make sure that you're thinking about thoughtfully as you grow and you scale your business. So we've got to think then through these 5 key functions in summary, in terms of critical roles inside of your business that you want to be prepared to address. And that's going to be the operations side. That's going to be the revenue building side of the business. That's also going to be marketing, followed by finance, and then your founder support or your founder multiplier. Each of these roles is critical. Make sure that you're thinking through the logistics of what needs to happen for each of these roles, because it's the thing that's going to unlock your next level of success inside of your business journey. Welcome to the playing field, friends. This is where the big boys and girls are doing all the things, and the ultimate goal is to free you up so that you have more time and more capacity to really focus on the things that are going to deliver the greatest impact. You still have work to do, my friend. So don't think that just because you've expanded your team that you now have all of this extra free time to do just luxurious things. That's what social media will make you think. It really frees up your time so that you can do the harder work that's necessary to really deliver the kind of value that lifts your total business to the next level. And so that's what we're really looking to do. And I hope that this episode has provided you with a framework to consider for unlocking that potential inside of your business. My name is Anthony Standifer. I am delighted that you have joined me for this part of your journey. I'm a guy who's been doing this now for 26, almost 27 years inside of the beauty and personal care space. I'm a reluctant entrepreneur for the last 11 years inside of a fast-growing contract manufacturing business here in the Chicagoland area. This episode of Driving the Business, Beauty Brands and Entrepreneurship is sponsored in part by MC Group, We're contract manufacturers in the beauty space. It's Roots Recording, who's sitting on the other side of this camera to make sure that this thing happens. The JJ Effect, who helps to provide the opening reels that you see inside of this. And it's, again, just my pleasure to be here with each of you, and thank you for your time. As you go on this journey, remember to keep driving the business and stay in motion, my friends. I'm supporting you. You can find me on all of the social medias. You'll see that listed somewhere in the framing here. And reach out to me because I'm here to support you on your journey as best I can. Until next time, we'll see you soon.